Fish egg.
Yeah.
I'm missing something. It's upstairs. Hold on, beautiful people. Hold on.
And a little fish. Look all these. To the next one. Tiger in the fish. In the rainbow. And a caterpillar. But if I had one of these, then come back. Have a yeah, don't stretch my foot. Okay, we can do that. This one.
Girl, let me back. Thank you. Just gonna get in front of me and just walk slow. Hey, beautiful people.
Tiger.
I got to feel God to the spirit realm. I was reading last night. I'm going over some stuff. Hey, everybody. Auntie. Happy to be here. Me too, sis. Avia. Greetings. Shebrew. All praise to the Creator, sis. Ema. Graham. Rising. Dawn. What's good, fam? Tikva. Hey, girl. Hey, you up and ready now? Let's go. Holla. Shalom. Jamia. Hey, girl. Hey. Look, you listened to my message the other day. It was in response to your message from Tuesday. I just got to it. I didn't realize. You had sent a message. I had a bunch of stuff in my inbox, and I was just kind of going through. But I responded to it. I'm not sure if you saw it yet or not. But anyway, happy Friday, beautiful people. There we go. It is Saturday, February the 11th, 2023. It is day 331 of year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1,350. Why you pull out so many? Well, everybody else sleeps, so just get one for you. Put the rest of them back. Come back. Grandbaby's here. LaVon, blessings. What'd I say? It's Saturday? Yeah, I know. You sent a message on Tuesday. But did I say the day right? I said it was Saturday? Okay. Okay, so y'all still gotta wait a minute, okay? Hold on.
I got 2.
You got, how about you eat one first, and then you eat the first one, then you can get the second one, all right? All right. All right, y'all, we're going to pick back up in reading Romance of the Red Star on page 37, and then we're going to hop on back over here to the Field Guide to the Spirit World on page 250 in the last chapter. You got it? Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay, how about just sit right here, y'all. Y'all just got to wait a minute, okay? Okay? Okay. Father, we thank you for the ability to be able to control ourselves. All right. Cookie, yeah, they back in a full effect. Let's mess with my stuff, boy. Come on. All right, y'all. Let's go to page 37. Oh, and everybody else, I'm sorry. Everybody else here hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you, Facebook and YouTube. All right. You just gonna eat it frozen? You just don't care. Huh?
I'm eating warm.
Just, guys, okay. Go wake your daddy up, Jackson. Yeah, we're just gonna do that instead of me going over here heating this up. If I'm gonna heat it up, they just gonna have to wait. Okay, girl. Ooh, all right, whatever. All right, chapter, this is 21. They sound so sweet, Dawn. They do. But they're really, 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 really active. That's what I'm like, go wait to do that. All right. Chapter 21, page 37. When the ceremonies were ended, Onzi said, "In the name of Jehovah, we will soon rise and go on a long journey. And now I proclaim the freedom of the hour in Jehovah's name." Jace. Go tell Jace to come here. I don't think he heard me.
Yes.
I could have did that. I think y'all just heard me holler his name. And the people went and mingled with each other, rejoicing and saluting. And Haja and God and Etizai greeted one another. And the lords came forward and were also greeted. And then were the marshals and the Isinars. What are you doing? Put them on back. Everybody's still asleep. Just get one for you. Sorry, y'all. Thanks, Dawn. And when the people went and mingled with each other, rejoicing and saluting, and Haja and God and Etizai greeted one another, and the lords came forward and were also greeted, and then the marshals and the Isinars and all long-serving laborers, and lastly, all that had redeemed any man or woman from darkness to light came also and were saluted and duly honored. Do me a favor. Hold on, y'all. So y'all don't keep shaking this paper. Get it. Give it here. You don't keep eating cold? Okay, fine, whatever.
Okay, you gotta eat the cold. You gotta eat the cold. Okay, I'm a shark.
What? You a shark?
And that thing right here.
You a baby shark.
Oh, Cookie.
What?
I just love my dad and my brother.
Okay, little girl, pick your trash up off my floor and put in the trash can. I'm sorry, y'all. This morning is going to be one of these days because they up and they did still sleep. I'm about to go pull them out of bed. Hold on. You, come on. Okay. And for the space of 1 hour, all the angels indulged in reunion with fullness of heart, but no book could relate 1,000th part of the questions asked and love assurances expressed. When the hour was ended, Onzi signaled the proper officer, and he sounded the gavel thrice, whereupon all was hushed. Onzi said, "As Jehovah bestoweth a newborn child, so also doth he take the father and mother away to the S world. As Jehovah sent Etizai, my sister, to establish the lower heavens, so have I come by his command to bear hence this harvest to his everlasting kingdom." Thank you.
My eyes thin. Actually, one.
Yeah, one first. Come on here.
This one is this one.
We'll see. You better quit hopping on my chair, little boy.
Huh?
Not you. Your brother.
Me?
Yes, you, baby shark. Okay. As a child bewaileth the loss of his father and mother, so will ye that remain bewail the loss of this rich harvest of angels. It is Jehovah's will that ye drink deep of the sorrow of parting, for by this bondage will ye be again reunited in the heavens still above. The progress of the soul of man is forever onward, and the glory of the resurrection of him that goeth before is equally great, as is the sorrow of him that remains behind. But the love that bindeth together is as a chain outstretched across the universe. Swift messengers, well trained to course the vault of heaven, will pass between you, carrying the tidings of your soul's delight. And as Jehovah giveth summer to follow winter, and the winter the summer, so shall the time come again and again, in which ye shall mingle and part, and again labor together in broader fields, and again part for a season. Behold the wisdom of Jehovah in placing far apart the places of the souls of men. For all things abiding near together equalize themselves. Even as there is glory in a new birth, so is there glory in death. As there is sorrow in death, so is there joy in resurrection. The time has now come when these that you love, you shall not see for a long time. Yes, baby. You know what? Get a paper plate. Look in the pantry, get a paper plate.
No, on the cold plate.
You gonna wash the cold plate when you're done?
On the cold plate. On the paper towel. On the cold paper towel.
Just get a paper plate.
My brother got a cold paper towel.
All right, whatever. Go ahead, whatever. Hold on.
Oh, paper towel.
I lost my spot.
I want paper towel.
You ain't getting a paper towel. Even as there is glory in new birth, so is there glory in death. As there is sorrow in death, so is there joy in resurrection. The time has now come when these that you love... I'm out of apples, sis. Just wait. I'm sorry, y'all. The time has now come when these that you love, you shall not see for a long time, but you should rejoice in the hour of parting, for they rise as brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. The Essenars sang an anthem of praise in which all the hosts united, and great was the glory thereof. And now Onzii arose, saying, Jehovah, almighty and everlasting, look upon this, thy son, Haja, in thy name, O Father, and by virtue of thy power in me vested, do I perpetrate and crown him God of earth. Haja, now God said, thy will be done, O Jehovah. Then Onzii turned to the five chief lords and five divisions of Then Onzii turned to the five chief lords of the five divisions of the earth and bestowed them in like manner. And Onzii stretched forth her hand, saying, Give me a crown, O Jehovah, for thy son, God of earth. And there descended ethereal substance into her hand, and she raised it up, and it became a crown of great beauty. And she put it on God's head. Then in like manner did she crown the lords of earth. And Etizii and Onzi came down and sat at the foot of the throne. God came down and stretching forth his hand said to Etizii, Onzi, and Sathantes, Arise, O goddess, and go thy way. Arise, O goddess, and go thy way. Arise, O God, and go thy way. And they rose up and marched forth. There it go. Here. Yep, you gotta push it back through. Don't try and bite it through the paper. There you go. Just like this. Look. Let's see. Take your finger. Look, girl. Take your finger and push it up from the bottom like that. Okay. So you can eat it. All right. Just throw that away, huh? The proper officers had already prepared the ship for its Ethereal journey, and as soon as Etizii and Onzi had entered the central star, all the people that were to ascend went into the place assigned to them. God and the lords returned in tears to the throne, and now the plateau of everlasting light began to ascend. Music sprang from every side, glorifying Jehovah and the magnificence of his bountiful worlds. And those of the lower heaven were as the echo of music, and those of the lower heaven were as the echo of the music above, and the light ascending, and the light of the ascending ship of fire made all else as a shadow. but higher and higher it rose in the form of a crescent, slowly turning and rising, higher and higher, and the music faded away in the distance. Thus ascended to the emancipated heavens in Ethera the first harvest of angels born on the earth. Next chapter, chapter 22. Prince, what's going on, brother? Shayla, hey, cousin. And everybody else that came in also hanging out in the background. God said, "Arise, O lords of my realm, and go to the kingdoms which ye have received from Jehovah's hand, and may his love, wisdom, and power be with you all." And the lords departed, they and their attendants, and went to their kingdoms over mortals. And God dispensed laws and government after the manner of his predecessors, enlarging all the places according to the increase in numbers in the, let me start over. And God dispensed laws and government after the manner of his predecessors, enlarging all the places according to the increase in the number of spirits rising up from the earth. You thirsty? Okay. Just finish eating first, girl. And the voice of Jehovah, And the voice of Jehovah was with God, and as the first kingdom had been called Horrid, so was the second called Horrid. And as it had been with the lords of the earth in their places, so continued it with the new lords. You told me already. When you get done eating, I'll give you something to drink, okay? Okay. That way. And as it had been with the lords of the earth in their places, so continued it with the new lords, and they enlarged their places also, according to the increase in number of inhabitants of the earth. And as it had been of old, that messengers went constantly from Horrid to the Lord's place, so did they also continue to do. And by this means, all the affairs of the lower heaven were kept in harmony, lords and God. And God ruled in Horrid 400 years, and Horrid spread over all the lands of the earth. When the time of God and his host was fulfilled, pick it up, girl. I'm sorry, y'all. I am on page 38. 38 in Romance of the Red Star in chapter 22. In Big Blue, for those following along in Big Blue, it is. I know, you told me already. Oh, man, hold on. In Big Blue, it's page 36. Yeah, Big Blue is page 36, chapter 22. And page 38 in Romance of the Red Star, chapter 22. Okay. And as it had been with the lords of the earth in their places, so continued it with the new lords, and they enlarged their places also, according to the increase in the number of inhabitants of the earth. And as it had been of old that messengers went constantly from Horrid to the Lord's places, so did they also continue to do. And by this means, all the affairs of the lower heaven were kept in harmony, lords and God. What? Jackson, leave her alone. And God ruled in Horrid 400 years, and Horrid spread over all the lands of the earth. When the time of God and his host was fulfilled, Jehovah brought the earth into Dan of Eon, in the ark of Laias, whose angels descended in a ship of fire, and delivered God and his lords and all the hosts under them, who were prepared for the Etherian resurrection. At this time, girl, chill. At this time, there were in atmosphere 625 million inhabitants. Okay, wait a minute. After the manner of the ascent of the first harvest, so was the ascent of the second harvest. And the place of the landing of the second harvest in the firmament of heaven was Laias and Ben, and the grade of the harvest was 78, being 2 less than the grade of the first harvest. Next chapter and last chapter for the cycle or book of Sathantes. Y'all. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just gonna keep
glass.
asking you.
It's glass.
Yeah, it's glass. Little baby, where your cup?
Baby.
Where your cup? You don't know?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, well, come here. Come over here. Come. Okay. Last chapter, page 38. Romance of the Red Star, but it's on page 36 in big blue. And in big blue, it actually begins, chapter 23 actually begins at verse 3. The first two verses was actually moved to chapter 23 when it's actually the end of chapter 22, just in case you try to figure it out. Okay. So earth and her heavens passed into the care of succeeding gods and lords who had been raised up and prepared therefore. And for the present, there were no more Etherians dwelling in these regions. Jehovah said, they that come out of earth shall be sufficient unto themselves. As a mother provided for her child, so do I provide for the spirit generations of a corporal world. But when they are mature in wisdom, strength, and love, I command them to take the places of lords and gods in the management of my kingdom. Kind of like when the children get over and they can start babysitting, and then we'll leave you in charge and we'll go away for a little bit. Boy, what is you doing? Put my chair back. No, you're not going to stand on it. You're not allowed to operate the microwave. Put it back. I know what Isaiah did, but you can't do what Isaiah did. Okay?
But John always do it.
So, you're not... Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Go tell your dad I said to me. Go tell your dad I said to me. Wake him up.
No.
I'm going to see you in the room with your daddy, little girl.
Okay. Who daddy?
Who daddy? Your daddy.
Who Jackson? Jackson.
All right, y'all. Now, after the ascent of the Etherians, the whole earth and its lower heavens were under the dominion of angels born on earth. Hence, it became a saying. The first was Etherian rule. The second was atmospherian rule. For earth had a god and lords who had been on no other world. And it likewise came to pass that the atmospherian rulers were more lenient and less tyrannical than had been the Etherians. For the Etherians had forbidden the Easians to return to their mortal kindred till they had been in heaven 50 years. But the present God and lords indulged hundreds of thousands of Easians for sympathy's sake to return to their mortal kindred. And these Easians became not workers in heaven, either for others or for their own resurrection. And they became idlers and vagabonds in the lower heaven, oft living with their mortal kindred. And these Easians became not workers in heaven, either for others or for their own resurrection. And they became idlers and vagabonds in the lower heaven, oft living with their mortal kindred till their mortal kindred died, and then in turn persuading such Easians to do as they did. And God perceived, when it was too late, that his leniency had laid the foundation for disorganizing the kingdom of heaven. For the strolling idlers, knowing no other heaven, sowed the spirit of disbelief in the places of learning and industry, in the lower heaven, persuading others that they were toiling to no good purpose. They said, behold, it was told us on the earth that there was a Jehovah, but we are in heaven, and yet we find him not. Now do we know of a truth that there is no all person. Come then, let us seek ease and rich viands that rise up out of the earth. A man liveth on the earth and dieth, and his spirit floateth round about. Wait a minute, girl. They said, behold, it was told us on the earth that there was a Jehovah, but we are in heaven, and yet we find him not. Now do we know of a truth, there is no all person. Come then, let us seek ease and the rich viands that come up out of the earth. A man liveth on the earth and dieth, and as his spirit floateth round about, and there is no more of him. As a man liveth on the earth and dieth, and his spirit floateth round about, and there is no more of him. Why will ye serve the Lord? Why will ye serve God? Be free and live for yourself. Be free and live for yourselves instead of others. Thus it came to pass that little by little the lower heaven began to fall from its high estate. The third day was 600 years, and God and his lords, having provided successors, ascended with their harvest to Ethera, and the number thereof was 408 million brides and bridegrooms, and their grade was 66. The grades keep falling lower and lower with each graduation. The fourth Dan was 500 years, and the harvest was 600 million brides and bridegrooms, and their grade was 58. The fifth Dan was 300 years, and the harvest was 200 millions, and their grade was 50, which was the lowest grade capable of emancipation or capable of surviving in Ethera. Be careful. And now darkness set in and covered all earth around. And from this time until the end of the cycle, which was 3,000 years from the birth of man on earth, there were no more resurrections to there were no more resurrections to the emancipated heavens. The kingdom of Horrid was broken up and dissolved. The spirits loved not to labor according to Jehovah's plan, but remained on the earth. And they were called Druhas because they desired not resurrection. And God and his lords and their officers and teachers were without subjects and pupils, and mortals were beset by thousands of millions of Druhas, so that the Ashars were powerless to accomplish good inspiration. At this time, there were more than 3,000 million angels in atmosphere, and most of them dwelt on the earth. Thus ended the first cycle. And this is actually the end of the cycle of Sathantes. So now that all of the angels, or all of our brethren and sisterin who were pretty strict, now that they have passed the higher realms, and you have those who were born in the earth, that's what's happened. Those that were born in the earth that have risen up and have now taken those places. As the generations change, they become more lenient because this is the only world that they've ever experienced. So which is why they stopped the 50-year mark. Okay, you can't go back there to see or help your near kin, your family, until you've been in the S world for 50 years. By the time 50 years has passed, you've had time, bring it over here, you had time to grow and develop a little bit. And some of those, I ain't gonna say the tight-knit bonds are broken, but by that time, most of your family members may have probably already have passed into Ethera. Hold on, girl. Give me that. What you got in your mouth? Boy, I swear for Bob. Yeah, it's hot. Kids, they just, the little ones, they just put anything in their mouth. right? Okay, I digress. But by the time the 50 year, by the time you hit the 50-year mark, the same here with that, you're not so your feelings, most of them are grown up and are older, and they done figured some things out for themselves. So you're not so you're excited to go back, but you're not so. It's easier for you not to come and latch yourself onto them, right? So that's why that 50-year mark was set in place. But each generation, each new set of angels who took those places, as we'll see, they lessened those years. So whereas soon as they die, it's like, well, they doing what they want to do anyway. It's like they die today, they back here tomorrow. Like, bruh, no year wait, you got to go and get up out of here and continue growing, right? But they come and sometimes make the state of their family members a lot worse, especially if everybody in the family is ignorant of spiritual things. All right, y'all. We're going to pause right here. We start tomorrow. The Lord's cycle. Oh, I'm sorry. Lord's record for cycle of Sephantes. Which is... What? Okay. This is called Lord's record for cycle of Sephantes, but in big blue. I just had to double check a couple of verses. Hold on. Man. Okay, yeah. In big blue is called, or the lowest edition is called First Book of the First Lords. Okay. So in Romance of the Red Star is Lord's record for cycle of Sephantes, and in big blue, First Book of the First Lords. Okay. All right, y'all. Donnie, shalom. Our girl, shalom, shalom. Okay, I'll check my email. And if y'all emailed me anything, I'm sorry. I have not checked my email in almost 2 weeks. I'll check it. My email for this, rather. Okay. All right, so yesterday, in Field Guide to the Spirit Realm, Field Guide to the Spirit World, we paused at the end of page 249, and we went over this chart of, it's entitled Cross-Cultural Methods of Spirit Removal. So gave us a lot of different places, where it was at, the workers, what they were called, and how they helped to free the ghosts, release the ghosts, or deliver the people from their demonic bondage, or the spirits that were overshadowing them, or possessing them, rather. So go to page 250, the very next page, and it begins with this quote. Quote, "This person seems quite normal, but there is a personality within her quite different from her own. We have known about this phenomenon of possession from remote antiquity onwards. That is why the church created an order of exorcists." End quote. Father Apollinaire Facciata. I probably screwed his name up. Sorry. Quoted in Leon Christiani, Evidence of Satan in the Modern World. Sadly, we saw with Annalise, not all exorcisms have the desired effect. In the case of Jaboticable, poltergeist, Brazil, bricks were falling of their own, and the family sought the help of a priest. He performed an exorcism. Quote, "The phenomenon did not cease, but rather became worse." End quote. Gully 2000, page 198. Nevertheless, a very similar case in Africa did meet with success. Bishop Weston of Zanzibar had been called to a clay hut where pieces of the wall were being thrown about. One chunk even hit him on the head. Whereupon, quote, "I went into the house and began the exorcism, pronouncing the ritual prayers. The manifestations ceased at once. No disturbing phenomena have occurred." End quote. Fodor, 1966-294. Y'all ever thought about why the spirits listen to people. Like, they'll come in. Most of the time when they're performing exorcisms, they got some kind of pamphlet or something with them. And they may not, if they've been doing it for a while, they just kind of learn some of these prayers by heart. So they come in with their other little stuff, their oil, their crosses, their Bibles, whatever. And they'll just perform the work by repeating these things. Y'all ever wonder why that works? Like, why? You just come in here reading books, and now that I'm thinking about it, I think what's happening is the words that they're repeating, they carry a frequency of power and light, which I think alerts, I don't know what you want to call it. It alerts heavenly patrol in the line of the light of Creator, probably most of the time, I would say, because if they're being delivered, it's almost like, I would say that it's probably light from the Creator coming and manifesting in that room, because, to use the New Testament terms, Satan can't cast out Satan, right? I was just thinking about this. I never really said it out loud, but I'm wondering, watching movies sometimes, that's movies. But actually doing some of that in real life, it's like, okay, you told me what to do. Let's just do this. And sometime in your ignorance, it may work, because maybe of your level of purity of heart, and the light shows up and kind of just handles things for you, to whereas somebody else will do it and it won't work. Kind of like the 7 sons of Sceva, right? And the demon said, Jesus I know, Paul I know, but who are you, right? I think it's a combination of a couple different things, and it's not really just like the words on the page. I think that's like a tangible thing to connect us with light. I'm sure there are better words to explain this. But it's almost it's almost like the key. But the more spiritual we become, the more spiritual we become, the more we understand the spiritual realm, we should be able to like pinpoint exactly what's happening during some of these the exorcisms or whatever. And what I truly believe at this point is those are points of references to kind of like dial up the light real quick to come help us out. Hey, we need y'all help, right? Just like I found that some of the prayers in Psalms and in Proverbs, they absolutely work. They absolutely work. So it's interesting. I'm gonna just keep reading. Let me go back. Let's see. Nevertheless, a very similar case in Africa did meet with success. Bishop Weston of Zanzibar had been called to a clay hut where pieces of the wall were being thrown about. One chunk even hit him on the head, whereupon, quote, I went into the house and began the exorcism, pronouncing the ritual prayers. The manifestations ceased at once. No disturbing phenomena have reoccurred, end quote. Fodor, 1966, page 294. In spooky old England, an Anglican canon, Piers Higgins, knew what to do when it was discovered that an ancient house full of phantoms, moaning sounds, and stuff hurled about, stuff hurled about was once a priority with an unsavory history. The ghost hunting cleric went to work finding and then convincing the long deceased monks that they were indeed dead, hence urging them to seek the light. To help them on their way, the canon prayed, quote, O thou unquiet spirits, go thy way, rejoicing that the prayers of the faithful shall follow thee, and that thou mayest enjoy everlasting peace, end quote. The disturbances ceased. Spraggett, 1967, 159, page 159. The Kabbalistic, or the Kabbalistic invocation for banishing the Dybbuk is a little more forceful. And there's an asterisk after forceful, and down at the bottom it says, the prayer was spoken in Hebrew. I have been told that the Anna B. Coach is another ancient Hebrew prayer with the power to reach attached entities. And that's spelled, it's two words, Anna, A-N-A, then it's B apostrophe K-O-A-C-H. I'm going to look that up. Not that I'm going to go, but I'm going to look it up and see what it say. B, coach. Okay. The prayer was spoken in Hebrew. I have been told that the Anna be coach is another ancient Hebrew prayer with the power to reach attached entities. The Kabbalistic invocation for banishing the Dybbuk is a little more forceful. Quote, hear me, O thou sinful, stubborn spirit. I order thee to depart from the body and soul you usurp, and go in peace whence you came. Leave, I command thee. Vacate at once this much tormented person. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. End quote. Kuhn, 1963, page 28. Yeah, right? I like that, Hebrew. It's making a phone call to the Ethereal heavens, and yes, Psalms work. Okay, page 251. Whether the setting is religious, secular, or medium mystic, all such efforts in the modern world seem to be confined to very small, often very private groups. The work, as I find it, is scattered, individualistic, self-determined, and apart from ghost and orb hunting societies, which are not primarily involved in the removal of discarnate personalities, it is not really organized or united into a larger body or shared philosophy. As such, you will find these initiatives under different names: exorcism, ghost laying, spirit clearing or spirit cleansing, rescue work, restoration, banishment, depot or depossession, entity release, and so on. That's going to probably be our title. Some of these words, some of these terms. I'll read them again. As such, you will find these initiatives under different names: exorcism, ghost laying, spirit clearing or spirit cleansing, rescue work, restoration, banishment, depot or depossession, entity release, and so on. There is a certain weakness in this disjunction, this lack of wider consensus, but maybe that will change. For the nonce, let us keep in mind the few basic, perhaps universal guidelines. And she gives a list of 3, and each one is it's a few sentences each. Okay, the first one: the entities need to be more than expelled. The work, therefore, should not be started without assistance from helpers, the equivalent of Wickland's mercy band or of the medium's controls. Note also that Dion Fortune, 1981, page 65, cleared one case in a week's time with a, quote, treatment given to the entity that was causing the trouble, not merely to the patient. It was the release of the obsessor and helping him heavenward that gave freedom to his victim. I just thought about something, end quote. Okay, so I'll just use the movie Evil. I mean, the series Evil. I still ain't got through all of it. Y'all went through the rest of the series yet? I may eventually make my way through the rest of it. But you know how when they were going to perform an exorcism, some of them, it would last maybe a couple of days, but some of them will go on for like a week or so. And I've heard in cases where some of them go on even longer than that, right? You ever wonder why it takes so long? I think this is a period of, like this is kind of mentioned, they need to be more than expelled, right? Let's see, a treatment given to the entity that was causing the trouble, not merely to the patient. It was the release of the obsessor and helping him heavenward that gave freedom to his victim. So it's not just the releasing, but it's also, well, it should be noted that it should be not just the release or the exorcism or deliverance, but also the education of the spirit, right? Because you got to get the spirit that's possessing to kind of come in agreement with you to let this person go. So really, you should go into it. If you ever decide to get into this work, go into it knowing that you have to educate the spirit, that's possessing them. Well, they both got to be educated. You, how this happened to you, and also the spirit that's attacking you, why you shouldn't be here and you need to move on. So that's probably why it takes so long, the education of the spirit. And if they go in not knowing this, they just trying all kinds of stuff, trying to beat the spirit out. And the spirit like, well, where I'm gonna go? No, I ain't going. No, I ain't going. No, where I'm gonna go? Well, I'm gonna hop on. Can I go home with you? I'll let them go, but I'm coming home with you. If you don't know all this, it's gonna take super long. Like, I haven't, well, no, I have. But it didn't take that long. There was just like a moment's time where, I ain't gonna say I think it was in my ignorance, not really understanding, but the boldness to speak and being in line with Creator, that purity in me allowed my mercy band or the angelic help to come and help. We just gonna hop in. She tuned right. Let's just go. Let's go in here, get them out of here. Right. But I know now that's what it was with me. But now that I'm becoming more educated in these things, I know not to try that, because y'all won't see me running out in the wild naked like the 7 sons of Sceva, right? It worked then when you was a baby because you ain't really know. But now you should really have these skills down pat, sis, right? Run it again. Let's see how she do. Look, okay. Let me read this. I'm gonna reread it again. Number 1, the entities need to be more than expelled. The work, therefore, should not be started without assistance from helpers, the equivalent of Wickland's mercy band or of the medium's controls. Note also that Dion Fortune, 1981, page 65, cleared one case in a week's time with a, quote, treatment given to the entity that was causing the trouble, not merely to the patient. It was the release of the obsessor and helping him heavenward that gave freedom to his victim, end quote. Number 2, nor should the work begin without the knowledge and desire of the host. We tried this once in a distant healing and it backfired on us. Nevertheless, a few British groups, she actually has that in parentheses. That was Susan's comment. Let me read that again. Nor should the work begin without the knowledge and desire of the host. And that's when she put in parentheses. We tried this once in a distant healing and it backfired on us. There she goes on. Nevertheless, a few British groups have become quite adept at, quote, remote spirit rescue, end quote, aka, quote, absent treatment, end quote. Some practitioners asserting it is actually easier to work a part that, hold on. Let me read it without saying quote, because it's throwing me off. Okay. Nevertheless, a few British groups have become quite adept at remote spirit rescue, aka absent treatment. Some practitioners asserting it is actually easier to work apart and that unseen forces can indeed be manipulated from a distance, end quote. Okay, that makes better sense. Fortune, 1981, page 70. Jamia said, there's a group of faithists that do that type of work called the RFK. I think somebody mentioned it was probably you. That sounds familiar, RFK, but that's interesting. I would like to see, they got a website or something? Do they post? Well, that's probably private information. But they got somewhere where they share some of the stories like anonymously or something. I would like to read some of those. Bronze Yogi, shalom, shalom. I'll come back and see if you would answer. Elijah, what's going on, brother? Okay. Number 3, follow-up is important. What sort of time frame can be expected? No telling. The medium Harriet Shelton, 1957, page 75, calls it a long, slow process of reaching and reforming the earthbound spirit who clings stubbornly to his victim. Still, there are some who say they have done a successful healing in 10 minutes. Girl, chill. I'm going to take it. Stop banging on it. Still, there are some who say they have done a successful healing in 10 minutes. Others report a course of dozens of sessions before the obsessing spirit was released. Australia's Sam Sagan, 1997, page 179, claims his clearing process takes no more than 20 minutes. Dr. Fior, on the other hand, mentions one case resolved only after 3 years of hypnotherapy. Oh my gosh, how? I would like to read a little bit more of this one and why it took them 3 years to clear this spirit. Like, how? They must have lived, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's just a lot of factors involved. There must have been a lot of education to this spirit. I definitely would be interested. It's private. Oh, man. Well, you got a website or something? Maybe, I don't know. Share the website or some reference where I can kind of see what they all about. That's interesting. Okay, let me see. Australia's Sam Sagan, 1997, page 179, claims his clearing process takes no more than 20 minutes. Dr. Fior, on the other hand, mentions one case resolved only after 3 years of hypnotherapy, which again is certainly in contrast with one parish priest who obtained the boy's release, quote, in only 3 hours. Crabtree, 1985, page 95. Just as Father Theophilus exorcised one woman who had shrieked, screamed, and wept for 9 months in less than 7 hours, yet it took more than 30 settings for Dr. Titus Bull to cast out the multiple obsessors afflicting one of his clients. Meanwhile, psychiatrist Ralph Allison purportedly cleared one patient in 2.5 minutes. Mayer, 1989, page 162. Let me just read this last little paragraph and got to pause because I got to get in class. No doubt there are times when the affliction hinges on some sore point or perceived slight on the part of the excarnate. There was this gent, for example, who had clandestinely purchased a manuscript of formulas written by the deceased occult wizard Aleister Crowley, all while knowing that the manuscript was actually willed to a certain museum. The man soon became very ill. Doctors could do nothing for him. Finally, in depression, he handed the manuscript over to the museum and totally recovered his health. Wow. I don't even know why y'all play around with Aleister Crowley stuff. I told y'all what happened to me with that whole Julian Spirits jank, not realizing what I had brought into the house was some of Aleister Crowley's work. Boy, it sent the atmosphere of my home in a tizzy, and I couldn't figure it out to go back to that video. That was about a year ago. Shucks, it's been almost, it's definitely almost a year now. Go back. It's called, type in Awaken the Truth, Julian Spirits, if y'all ain't seen that. Yeah. Don't mess around with Aleister Crowley stuff, y'all. If y'all come across somebody that you might need to help deliver, you need to get really educated before you go in there trying to free them. Be like, I'm sorry, I am not the one that's supposed to be a part of this, but I'll sit back and watch behind glass doors. Can the spirits get in through here? But I gotta see how this plays out. All right, y'all. I gotta stop. Let me see. 250 to 252. I'm kind of scary, but I like to see this stuff because I like to see the process and how it works, just in case I come across something where I may need this information, right? All right, beautiful people. It is Saturday, February the 11th, 2023, day 331 of year 4 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, it is day 1350. We read the rest of the Cycle of Sathantes and Romance of the Red Star. Remember, that's just another name for a Waspi, written by a different author, or translated by a different author. And then we read pages 250 to 253 in Field Guide to the Spirit World. Father, we thank you for Thank you for understanding steps, processes, and ways of operating. Yeah, let's just say that. Based on what we read today and how you get somebody free, right? You can't just go in there trying to cast the devil out. It's a let's call it, it shouldn't, well, I guess you can still call it deliverance. It probably should be titled deliverance and education or something like that. Education of the spirit. I thought I was about to come up with something catchy, but y'all get it. I gotta go. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out. Jamia, if you remember the RFK, like if they got a website or something or some type of resource or whatever, send it to me. I'll post it under this video when it stops. I'll post it in here if you got time before, if you find it before they stop letting you post in here in the chat. All right. Well, with that being said, I love y'all beautiful people. I see y'all back here Monday. We won't be here tomorrow because this is still, the Sabbath still fall on Sundays. All right, y'all. So I see y'all back here Monday morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace. One step at a time. Thanks, Shamir. Bye, y'all.